Hey everybody, this is Hope Erickson from Pearls of Movement, and today's lesson is how you play B flat. So when you first learn the saxophone in these books, they have 2 fingerings, sometimes 3. So the most common ones that I see when I go into schools is what we call 1 and 1, so this B and this F key, and A with this bottom right side key. So I actually learned from a clarinet player that 1 and 1 is a very common fingering that they use for B flat. Because the saxophone was made relatively late in compared to a lot of other instruments, there's not a lot of repertoire for it. So you have a lot of clarinetists playing saxophone versus the other way around. And the other fingering I showed you, this key right here is actually called TA, which means trill A. So it's actually trill fingering. So both of those aren't our primary fingering. Our primary fingering, that if you study saxophone privately, is what we call using the bis key. It's this little guy right here. So a lot of times there's, as you can see, there's a ton of keys on this sucker, and you probably have seen it, but just disregard it because it's like, what is that thing, right? So when I introduce it to people, they'll actually try to play it with 2 fingers, but you only play it with 1, which is awesome. So you put half of your finger on the B key and half of it on the bis key. So for instance, if I'm playing my F major scale, it's got B flat in it. A lot of times if I use the side fingering, I have to use 2 hands. So as you can see, I'll do that for you. And disclaimer, I don't recommend you lifting up your fingers. I'm just doing it for exaggeration to see how you have to coordinate both hands. So that takes more energy because every movement that you make takes energy, and it takes more brain power, right, to coordinate 2, versus say if I only use 1 hand. So I'm going to use that bis key for the F major scale now. So instead of pressing 3 down and lifting 2 up, and it's like different directions, right? I'm only flipping, right? Which we don't really like to do, but in this case, it's the best option. So it's gonna take a while, right? I didn't learn about this fingering until high school when I actually went to go take a lesson with a professor in Minnesota. So I get a lot of feedback, oh, it's too hard, oh, it's different. But I promise you, if you just practice it, the easiest way to do it is if you see a B flat in your band music, play it. If you see B flat to B natural or A sharp to B, that is when you use the A to with the side key. Because if you're doing that, then it's called sliding, and that's not proper technique. As far as the 1 and 1, I tell everybody, forget you ever learned it. Just forget it. I've only used that fingering 1 time, and that was in a piece in grad school. So if you get to that level, you might have to use it, but it was only in 1 instance in a 4-page piece. So again, primary fingering, practicing your band music, and your scales that have flats. Perfect practice makes perfect, not practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if you just practice this technique every day, it'll be easy to put into your daily routine. So thank you so much. Follow us on Instagram and stay tuned for our website that's coming up, gimmegwells.com.